What's going on, guys? It's your boy Grapple Vion here with another build video specifically for the Enchanter frame. As you guys may have seen the previous ones, we pretty much go through a little bit of the frames. By no means am I like a 100% expert on every single frame, but you don't have to build like this. This is just some suggestions to throw out here, help you started. I'm gonna tell you guys now, unlocking the frames is a big pain because it takes so long to unlock all the skills, and I'll only do the videos once all the skills are unlocked. So let's jump into it. The Enchanter frame, as you can see, is specialized in EX skills. Attack power is low, of course, but it's a little more tanky. So in this case, it's very supportive. In some cases, the EX power is actually pretty good. So EX skills or buffs or debuffs. Okay. You have a recovery jammer, which pretty much stops people from recovering. And electric wave, which I use 9 times out of 10, is like a AoE stun. And I love using that. It's a nice turnaround, and it gives you a couple of seconds to do stuff. So you're going to see a lot of these abilities from other suits, but you see this one has more barrier, more defense capabilities, like HP up and buffs, different type buffs, stronger attack, tougher defense, stuff like that, which is pretty neat depending on how you want it. In this case, EX gauge charge, if we want to spam EX skills, we can do that. Or help us spam more, but in this case I think we're gonna go with something where as you guys know, when HP drops under 25%, allows EX skills without consuming EX gauge for 8 seconds. That's pretty good. That's really good to turn around if you have the EX actions to have movement or anything like that. HP don't really care that much. Fast recovery from disabling. Of course, if you fight someone who stuns you or something like that. But this right here, that's 6%. I mean, 6% doesn't sound a lot, but it's more than 0%. So we're gonna go that route because we're gonna actually use some stunning abilities. We're gonna increase the gauge by 4%. We're gonna work on that. It's only level 2, so it'll level up probably level 6. Level 6, 8, whatever. As far as the weapons goes, your main hand doesn't really matter. It's definitely a preference kind of thing. I would always suggest something like the spear will help you mobility, the dual blades, depending on how you want to move around on the battlefield. Also, notice how the movement speed, the boost speed, and thruster capacity is pretty. It's not pretty. It has on the lower end of the boost speed. The movement speed is a little up there, just a little bit. It's second fastest, which isn't bad, but the capacity is kind of not good. Reaction speed's dope, so you can get away with quick reaction, which I honestly don't like the idea that they have reaction speed in here. How this game operates, but whatever. So we will do. For giggles, let's just get a GN sword in here. Beam Magnum, I always love the Beam Magnum. But I don't really. I'm not a fan of the actual. Again, you guys know some of the charging is really weird with the input of the game, so I'm not the biggest fan of it. So I definitely would not be against it, or would be against using that all that often. Shield Buster Rifle, Blast Beam. Yeah, I do want to stay away from some of those. Alright, and we also have, let's go with this. Alright, so as always, look at the EX skills, see what you got going on. Something like this right here, this skill cell, it should actually work with your other abilities. Of course, again, the only thing that kills me is we can't use whatever head we want. So you have to select your head probably if you want a certain look or cosmetic. defense. Passive that raises your passive defense. Let's see if we can find open control. As someone mentioned in the comments in a video ago, I believe it opens boxes near you once you activate it. Field repair, part repair. I think field repair is cool. I'm almost certain that's the AoE one. Yeah, allies. So that's really dope. We're gonna go with that. I don't mind the Visago head like this. You know, shout outs to the Epion-esque, even though it came before Gundam Wing. But anyway, so we're gonna go more of a support role, actually. Let's see. Field Offenser is really good because it raises your offensive capabilities on the field for you and your team. As you see, self-fortify and the legs. Yeah, we ain't worried about that. You guys are going to see the photon shield. It might not be on the chest, but we might use the shield. Self-offenser, or of course, what it sounds like is self-defense or offenser. That's only for yourself. Field is for you and your allies. So keep that in mind. And this is really weird how it's like offensive boost. Like I'm gonna need them to try to calm down with it. But as you see, offensive boost, which is really dope. So keep in mind we do have the thing to increase the disabled abilities. But we'll actually probably go back, if depending on how we look, we go back and swap that up. Because we were going to do the EX, but I'm like, you know, let's try something a little different here. So let's see what we can get with the arms. 'Cause I think it's very important to look very, you know, very comfortable. Accelerator field, simple enough. So what else we can find? This is a huge buffing suit right now, and it's very important. If you do have a suit that buffs a lot and you hardly have any EX abilities, make sure you're keen on the weapons, and we'll get to that in a second. Burst Resurrect. See, that's another hill from Gundam X. I really like Gundam X's body. We'll come back. Let's double check some things real quick. We couldn't go wrong with Shining Finger, could we? Mind you, again, keep in mind that you're limited to the EX skills on that particular part. Oh, that looks weird. I'm actually thinking more Shining Gundam right now. I think for the next two abilities, yeah. So let's do Shining Gundam. Was it Shining? Yeah. I want Shining Finger. All right. And then for this, I actually want Meteor Strike. These are two melee range abilities, just in case people rush you or try to shut you down. Open Light itself, though, I think is another AoE stun. Release light has been blinded, temporarily disabled. So that's one stun, two buffs, and one EX skill. Now, what I was going to do, I'm actually going to jump away from the backpack real quick. I was also going to go ahead and get the where is it? The shield. You guys probably see me using other builds. The shield from Reconquista, and it does a photon shield. It shoots a projectile, which also stuns, and it's pretty potent as long as you hit people with it, you know. So I actually wanted Meteor Strike, but the more I look at these arms, I think Meteor Strike can also come from the arms. I know that ability was also in the legs. Let's see real quick. Maybe it was just in the legs. A lot of parts. But a lot of parts do the same thing. So it's, you know, it's yeah. Okay, so question is, at this point, this is a perfect example. Do you want to disable stuff, or do you want to provide a little bit more damage on the battlefield? As it stands now, let's find us a backpack. Tailblade, as cool as it sounds, I do not like it. It's a very slow moving grapple. Tackles, nothing too fancy. Things like backpacks like this to me will always win over a single use. Granted, so many has a tackle, and some of them are very short range, and I do not like that. I do not like that. The backpack for gold frame is addictive because you have the grapple, like a vampire. Excalibur, someone in chat during the stream was talking about how they like the Excalibur a lot. As we know, as much as we like to, the Dragoon system, funnels themselves right now in the game are not viable to me. They do not work as originally intended. Well, what we're used to. They're more like just an attack. We do something for a speed buff, action buff with wing. But let's see if we can find us another attack. I really would like to have Meteor Strike, but it's looking like we might not be able to find that bad boy. I do want to stay away from. I do want to stay away from the boost abilities because I really don't like them. The ones where you're just, it's just like a long dash. I do not like them. The control during that mode, or the modes, are very tight. It's annoying. So definitely, I don't want to bother with those. Right here we have Shining Finger, Open Light, Action Boost, Photon Shield. So we literally only have one offensive ability. And like I said, we could switch the legs out to get Meteor Strike, but this is another pretty neat disabling ability. So we have Photon Shield, Open Light, 2 disabling abilities, Field Repair, Offensive Boost, Action Boost. And again, Action Boost itself is just for you. The backpacks are a little stingy when it comes to stuff. Again, when you want to look a certain way, or at least decent, you might want to do that. So I do want to keep a balance here. So if I switch this to a buff, or not a buff, I do want to keep this balance here, because it's not necessarily my job to defeat my enemies, but it is my job to do that work. You know what I'm saying? We could also come back and check to see if there are any. Here we go. Look, Hyper Jammer. So the Hyper Jammer, Hydra 7 short time cannot be doing. See, this is really neat. It doesn't necessarily help your allies, but it helps you get along the battlefield. So we're actually going to change that. Cause I just really want to use Meteor Strike. I just, to be fair, I will warn you guys, if you do use Meteor Strike, be very careful. The hitbox is weird, and if you manage to miss or hit a wall, there's a huge chance that you're going to drop the attack, because it's a dash, and it's like a dash to grapple. I think it just looks really cool when you get it off, you know? I know the Sinaju. Was it Sinaju? Had it? But anyway, we're just gonna roll with this right now. So let's recount real quick. We have 1, 2, 3 boosts. 2 of the boosts are AoE friendly. One of the boosts is for us is movement speed alone. Meteor Strike is an EX. We have 2 stuns. Well, 1 stun actually, now that we switched the arms and the legs, which is the Photon Shield. But we also have the EX stun, so that's technically 2. Hyper Jammer is really cool because again, it if you're worrying about enemies, they can't target you. So we're gonna go back here. Long disabled enemies, we're gonna keep that. Higher EX gauge charge. I don't think I'm too concerned with that versus the buff. So say if I had multiple attack buffs, I could legit just wear more attack buffs or more movement speed buffs, stuff like that. But since we have almost one of a kind, I'm not going to focus on one particular buff type. So let's see here. You could actually, when awakened, that charges it by 14%. That's a lot. That's actually a lot to me. Actually, let's keep this. Let's keep this bad boy. All right. So builder parts. Here's the interesting part for builder parts. You want it to build off of either disabling extend or EX gauge in this particular suit we're making. And I'm also going to revisit the sword we're using along with the weapon. I think we'll be fine with the dual blades. I mean dual swords. Dual guns. I'm out of it. As far as the swords go, like honestly guys, it doesn't really matter outside of the stats because the type of weapons, they all do the exact same thing. Unlike the previous games, like they don't have a different moveset. So you can leave this up to if you're worried about any particular stats. As you see here, like the Aegean sword and the sword department is kind of winning. So we can just roll with that. I just think it might look cool to beef it up with a Aegean sword. We can actually check out the snipers. See how well they do, but a lot of them are just like beam shots or laser beams. Of course you have the bazookas, all the good shenanigans. Strong bazooka shot. I did not mind Virtue's bazooka. I wasn't a fan. I was used to being able to do the holding shot, but it's all good. For bazooka, I actually wouldn't mind the charge shot, but again, in this game, you can get punished easily for standing still. Alright, so let's see if we can find us something decent real quick. So damage range EX attacks. We don't have any range EX attacks, so we're not gonna worry about stuff like that. Damage reduction from beam barriers. You know, any kind of reduction you can do. But not too keen on that. Here you go. Stuff like this right here. Increases the length of disable effects on enemies. That, even though it decreases movement speed, we already have, I believe, what was it, boost or movement speed of a second. Doesn't matter because we worry about dashing or thruster capacity. Like, I honestly don't care with movement speed. I don't. So let's actually get one of those on each side, right? Where were we at? It was the anchor rocket. We're gonna have some fun with that, huh? Okay, and so can manipulate our arm, which I don't like because of the balls. So I mean, brick power if you want to worry about it. If you want to go, our reaction speed was really good, so we can take an L on the reaction speed if we want. Which, you know, I'm all about it. Let's get that hidden arm there. And we'll come back to move these around, of course, so. And again, increases the break power of melee EX attacks. Like, we could go with that. As you see, a lot of them are more for disabling effects, so that's why it's probably a lot better to do a build that has disabling effects. Just put that out there. If you would like, you could definitely make it so you can decrease the amount of damage you take, because honestly, when it comes to breaking stuff, if you have other allies, they're probably breaking shit. In a perfect world, they're breaking stuff already. So now that we have that, we can actually get something. There you go. Attack buff effects. Slight increased chance to be targeted by neutral forces, which is totally fine. It's totally fine. So let's do. Check real quick before we decide on this. And of course, if all else fails, you can just work on getting the EX gauge up. So I'm really, well, if you want to be concerned about dropping things in the battlefield, you can get stuff like that. But I honestly wouldn't worry too much about it. So let's see if we can find some for EX gauge and call it a day. You can always go with this, and again, the HP isn't really an issue. Granted, you can just gain HP every so often, unless you get juggled to, you know, Kingdom Come, and even that can look cool, because we could definitely spin that to look really neat. But enough of that. It's just to show you guys an example, you know. So I definitely don't want to overdo it and go too much in the negative, even though it's slightly, I'm still a thing. And all else fails, guys, you don't have to use builder parts. You're completely fine not using builder parts. Some people prefer not to use them, some people prefer to use them. So that's all on you. So yeah, it's one step at a time. Of course, there's always the tricky part when you have that last part. You don't know what exactly you want to do. Get another flag for the attack buff. think would be okay getting something. I think we're good not getting anything right now, actually. I don't want to take anything away from the range gauge, simply because we're already limited to the kind of attacks. If anything, we would want to increase it. We can do this. We can do this. All right. So let's move this stuff. Put it at -100. Tilt this a little bit. We'll be good. Let's just keep it based. 25, 25. Actually, let's see if we can make this smaller. I don't like the clipping. I'm not a huge fan of clipping. There we go. Let's do it. 90, 25, 275. Okay, we can work with this. $240, $175, $255. Let's do that. $240, $175. Hold up. 240, 255. Okay, 240, 175, 150. Thoughts. I was like, wait a second. There we go. The beam flag, we don't have to worry about too much about. It's right there in the backpack. We probably actually can keep that there. Because otherwise we're forced to, yeah, that's more of a center thing. We could make it bigger. Move it up a little bit. Make it like look more like one with the backpack. There we go. As for the round spikes, it's gonna kill me. 'Cause you can only put it. You're very limited. So let's do this. Let's keep it right where we had it. Actually, no. Let's see. Doesn't matter how I spin it. It's still the same. It's a spike. Yes, the spike. It's gonna rotate the same. Don't know why I'm not used to this by now, but should be. Right. Question is, do we want to make it a bigger spike? We put it on the top or the back? Let's try to see what it looks like if we put it on the back and rotate it out. This is as good as it's going to get as far as being in the center. We can do that. All right, let's put this back in here. Bring it down some. There we go. All right. These, I'm not so sure because they're not going to cooperate. We could make them. Actually, I know what we can do. Arm 2. Let's see if we can rotate them. There we go. 140. We can make it a little bit smaller. Let's do 125. All right, so we also could flip them around probably. I just want to check real quick. See how I feel about that. At that point, it's like a lot of stuff going on. And when functionality-wise, that would suck. Moving the arm back, you know. So let's keep it as is right now. Alright. Double check our EX actions. There we go. Alright, so let's go this bad boy. Keep an eye out for a video gameplay of this and all the other frames that's been released. Let's get to it.